Hi everyone, this is John Corley at Plant Based Life, and I'm going to do a quick video to talk about food waste. Now, something obviously that's been on the agenda, on the news a little bit, around the world. Certain countries are doing a lot, like in France, for instance. It's illegal for a supermarket, to throw out waste food. It's got to be donated, or they recycle or compost or whatever they need to do, but they're not wasting food, right? Now, there's a lady here in Australia, well, she's from South Africa originally, moved to Australia, called Ronnie Khan. Now, she runs a company called Oz Harvest, and you've probably heard about it because they've got pretty big over the last few years. I went to a screening of an inspirational documentary on Thursday by the great people at Transitions Bondi, right? And it was called Food Fighter, and it's about Ronnie, and it's about what she's done, and not just with Oz Harvest, but also around the world. She's travelled around the world. She set up UK Harvest. She set up in South Africa as well, where she's from originally. She also tried to get it going in Thailand and a few other places. She's just basically really trying to get this message out to the world, not to waste food, and it's such a phenomenal problem. Now, the work she's doing is amazing. It's all charity based, Oz Harvest, and they literally just work with cafes or shops, supermarkets. She went to Qantas, right? She goes to Qantas a couple of times a week to take the stuff off the planes that doesn't get used, the food that doesn't get used. And she said there that she hasn't been getting the refrigerated items because they haven't been allowing that to come off, but she's been getting the items that would be there for the meals on the planes. And in the last 2 years alone, they've had 90,000 tonnes of food come off these planes, waste. Look, just fathom that for a minute. We live in a world where people are starving, like in multiple third world places, countries around the world, right? People are starving, right? Developing nations, okay? It just doesn't work out. It doesn't make sense. She also, in this documentary, Food Fighter, if you haven't seen it, make sure to go and see it, right? She went up to Queensland to go to some of the farmers that are up there. They've got crops and they're growing banana crops, growing many different fruits, vegetables, but they just went to one particular farmer where they do bananas. Now, the supermarkets have been very picky over the years, choosing only fruits that don't have blemishes on them or whatever, because people want them to look a certain way, right? And certain bananas, if they had a slight blemish in them, they get wasted. They just get crushed and thrown away. There's nothing wrong with these bananas, right? 30% get wasted. Now, just to give you an understanding, before the agricultural revolution, the food revolution, everything else that's gone on in the last 70 years or whatever, right, now, food was all straight out of the ground, off the tree. It was, didn't have pesticides, herbicides sprayed all over it. It was essentially organic, right? What we now have come as the term organic, which has allowed us to, allowed the marketing people and the big conglomerates and people to put extra cost onto the food because they say it's organic. Well, everything was organic back then. And now we try, like me, myself, my family, we try and buy organic wherever possible, And what you'll find with organic produce is it has lots of blemishes on it. It doesn't look particularly appealing to the eye because it's natural. That's the way it's supposed to look. All this food, all this fruit that's been, had different things added to it, fertilizers been changed, soils been amended, or vegetables, same thing. They're pesticides, herbicides that go on it. Different things they pump into these fruits and vegetables to make them look a certain way, so they look like they've got no blemishes, has made them unhealthy and have no nutritional value. I don't know what the world's coming to. It's crazy. But then at the same time, all this trouble and extra work has been done to make the fruit look a certain way or the food look a certain way, while which then means loads of it gets wasted, while other people, homeless people here in Australia, people living here in Australia, like there's first Australians, okay? The original people of this land are living in impoverished circumstances in other parts of Australia, Northern Territories and other parts, right? They're not getting access to food, and all this food is being wasted. it just doesn't it doesn't add up. It doesn't make sense. Like humans, I don't know what we're doing, like, but we're doing a lot of things wrong, you know. I mean, and we can go on about many other things, but when you look at this, it's absolutely crazy. Now, Ronni Khan, what she's doing is amazing, you know. Now, obviously, at Plant Based Life, we promote 100% whole food, plant-based nutrition. And, you know, and with Oz Harvest, they're just saving all food, regardless of what the food might be. Because obviously, look, at the end of the day, you know, we're all on a journey, and food, you know, for people who are starving or whatever, they just need food at the end of the day, right? Now, there are ethical and sustainable reasons, and obviously animal cruelty reasons why we promote 100% whole food, plant-based diet. And we'd like to get to a point where, you know, we could help maybe alongside Oz Harvest, or we'll do whatever we can right now anyway, you know, like right now, you know, like we want to promote people to compost, but we want to try and get, you know, people having more plant-based foods in their diet, obviously, and even the food wastage as well, promoting, you know, getting plant-based foods to everyone. Because the thing is, one of the other major reasons, or probably the major reason for so much food waste and so much contamination to our waterways and everything else that's going on, is factory farming. Right now, people don't realise this, and also the methane gas that's going out into the environment, that's doing damage to the environment. Because the reason factory farming has grown so big over the last 70 years or so is because of the demand for meat in the Western world, right? And that's why there's so much waste, because people aren't eating it all, right? So it's all ending up in restaurants, in shelves, in supermarkets, not being sold or whatever, and basically it's becoming waste, and that waste is more damaging to the environment than anything else, really, you know. And then there's all the waste that gets dumped out of factory farms, where these poor animals are tortured and slaughtered, and, you know, and that gets dumped into waterways, it goes into bins, and it goes all around the world anyway. But that's a separate subject, but it's all connected. It's actually not separate really when you really analyse it. It's all connected, because this is all waste, right? All of it. There's no need for it. If we could stick to plant-based and really promote, you know, eating food as nature intended, out of the ground, off the trees, you know, just the way it was meant to be, I don't think we'd have as much waste in the world. And then if people on top of that got into the habit of composting, Ronni showed us how she composts at home. She's had a little bin at home, you know, and she does that. And, you know, look, it's amazing what you can do, you know. Like, this lady has gone and done so much good work. It's just phenomenal, and she feels it's her duty. You know, she says this in the film. You know, she doesn't. You know, she's doing it purely because she sees the future generations of children. Like, my son's 5 years old. She talks about her grandson in the movie, in the documentary, and then you just look at everybody else, the future generations of children, what they're going to grow up with, what they're going to face if we don't get on top of this problem. Now, there are many other problems in the world, you know, there's, as I say, the pollution, there's everything else, but look, food waste is huge. And not only that, you can help so many people who are starving, just right here in Australia, across the world, in developing nations and everywhere else, you know, just by donating to Oz Harvest. Donate to Oz Harvest, UK Harvest, any of these organisations that are doing this work, because they're doing great work. And we want to help them any way we can as well. So, you know, if anyone replies to this thread and they've got ways they want to come in and help, if you want to donate to Oz Harvest, they have volunteers that work for them as well. And I also want to give a shout out to Transitions Bondi as well, who put on the documentary, and they do regular film and feast and talk and feast events where you can go along. They promote, you know, plant-based food as well. They're vegan food is what was supplied on the night of the movie. And they do other great events, like they do things where you can bring your bike along to get repaired for free. I think they do that down at Bondi Markets, and they do movie screenings, talks, everything, and they're all about environmental situation, like sustainability, you know, getting good food on your plate, obviously food waste, you know, everything that's good for all of us as humans to develop and grow and improve the surroundings around us. So, you know, the documentary Food Fighter, watch it. You can watch it online. I found it to be extremely inspirational, and what a very, 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 you know, inspiring lady Ronni Khan is, that started this. And, you know, she's really put a whole life, dedicated her life to it. And not many people, you know, out there we'll do this. But you know, we're hoping, we just need everybody to do a little bit to help, and that's really what we need. And if you want to do more, that's fantastic. All right, so but yeah, no, a very inspirational film. And food wastage is a massive problem. Only buy what you need, okay? When you go out and do your shopping, only buy what you need. Go to co-ops, go to food co-ops, get your organic produce from food co-ops. It will save you a lot of money, rather than going direct to supermarkets all the time. You know, and you can also, if you've got friends that live in the local area who want to get organic fruit and veg and not pay extortionate prices, you can go to wholesalers in Homebush like Organics Direct, Eco Farms, all of these. You can group together in a group, and maybe one of you can drive every other week and go out there, get your food. You know, there's ways to get good produce without actually having to spend a lot of money. And then if you compost that as well at the end, and you know, like, there's a whole thing, lot of things you can do. And obviously the best solution is to grow your own, but we don't all, unfortunately, live in environments where we can. You know, if we're living in apartments, whatever else, you can grow some little things indoors, but they don't grow as good, obviously, unless they get natural sunlight and, you know, in good soil and everything else. But they are good things we can do, okay? But anyway, I've gone a bit longer on this video than I intended to, but it was something that it really had a strong impression on me, this documentary. And Transitions Bondi as well, I'm really a big fan of what they're doing. So Transitions, support them, you can donate to them, you can volunteer your time to them to help with events and whatever. They've got a community garden, they've got a lot of things going on. Volunteer to Oz Harvest and help those guys out, because what they're doing is awesome as well. And watch this space for more ways that plant-based life will get involved in all of these great community efforts and to improve the world around us and how we live. So remember, peace, movement and plants.